DXB, Dubai International Airport, told people on Wednesday to stay away unless absolutely necessary. And Emirates Airlines has just extended the suspension for check-in for passengers to 9 a.m. local time, 9 hours from now. It had been thought it would be about now, but clearly not. And when you see the scale of what's going on like this, the runway is being submerged and flooded. Flight Radar says, Flight Radar 24 says nearly 900 flights had to be diverted or cancelled. Fly Dubai, the low-cost carrier part of the Emirates Group, has resumed partial operations and said it was trying to minimise disruptions. Paul Griffiths is the CEO of Dubai Airports. Paul is with me now. So just to confirm, before we get to the whys and the wherefores, we've just heard that Emirates is now, which is your largest, obviously, carrier, Emirates is now suspending check-in until 0900 on Thursday morning local time. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, Richard. 0900 is the time that check-in will open in Terminal 3, and Emirates flights will be accepting passengers for departure from DXB. For other airlines, it's 0300 in the morning on Thursday. And as you said correctly, from Terminal 2, Fly Dubai are operating a limited schedule. In all cases, what we're advising customers to do is to check with their airlines for the actual departure time of their scheduled flight so they can actually check in at the right time.
Paul, I understand the unprecedented nature of this water, and I've seen your quotes on it, but should DXB have been better prepared?
Well, 254 millimeters of rain in a single day is the largest rainfall before meteorological records began in the UAE 75 years ago. So I don't think there's any way that we could have been better prepared for such a cataclysmic event. And I have to say, the coordination between all the stakeholders here has been magnificent. We've been clearing the roads. We've had 22 tankers on the airfield clearing all the stands, and the DXB facilities are now 100% operational. And now we're into the mode of trying to actually clear the huge backlog. We've got hundreds of large aeroplanes spread all over the region. And of course, once we've got slowdown on departures, we can't accept any more arrivals until there are places for those aeroplanes to park. So we're ready to actually start the renaissance of operations here. But I think it's going to be another 24 hours before we can start to see the semblance of normality that is DXB, which, as you know, Richard, is normally the world's busiest airport.
The use of Al Maktoum Airport, how did that play into, this is of course DWC Al Maktoum, whatever you want to call it, it's the other airport. How did that play into it?
That's played a very vital role as a diversionary airport, and we've been accepting a large number of diversions into that airport when we've actually been full at DXB because of the backlog of departures. So that has actually been very good. We've also had a few diversions to other airports in the region, including Abu Dhabi. So the whole system around the UAE has played host to a lot of flights that they wouldn't normally see. And that's been a vital part of the recovery operation.
Paul, I also know, we've known each other a long time, and I also know that you will be forensically looking into what you could have done differently, what other resources you might have had. I understand, of course, passengers have been stranded. That's just the nature of the beast in these sort of things. But what will you be looking at, whether it be flood or whatever, pandemic, that in the future you can make it more pleasant, if such be the word, to have these sort of things? What will you be focusing on?
Well, our focus is always on customer care, and what we must prioritize is to make absolutely sure that all those customers that have been disrupted are properly looked after. We've got 3 hotels airside at DXB. We've made all of those hotel rooms available to disrupted passengers. We've made sure to prioritize deliveries of food and drinks to all of the outlets across the entire airport to make sure everything is fully stocked. Those deliveries have been getting to the airport. Some of them have had police escort so they can get in very quickly. So customer care is right at the top of the tree, making sure we are minimizing the disruption, communicating to customers when their flights are going to depart. That's been quite a challenge because the operation, as you can imagine, has been hugely complex with hundreds, literally hundreds of large wide-body jets spread all over the region.
That's one of the downsides of having your home carrier with a fleet of triples, 777s and 380s. Finally, I don't think anybody is going to be able to argue that this is an EU 261 event. I think there is an exception. This is exceptional. So I'm sure there'll be some people who will try and get the compensation. But of course, there are care and comfort, which has to be taken care of in all circumstances, even if not compensation.
That's correct. But I think, I wish I could control the weather. And I really do think that this has to be classified as an act of God. I don't see that we could have done anything to minimize the disruption anymore. The storms have been unbelievably violent. Right. And I was actually landing in the middle of one of them. It was quite an event, as you can imagine.
Paul, it's good to see you. I'm looking forward to being in Dubai in a few months. We are going, when we'll be talking more about IATA and seeing it's all going. Paul, thank you very much indeed.
Indeed. And I imagine the weather will be better by the time you get here.
By June, we'll be schwitzing. All right, thank you.